Red Star Radio. Voice of the revolution.
What's up, YouTube? We just hit 500 subscribers, so to mark this milestone, we're going to read some comments that we've gotten over the past year. Got the whole gang with me, along with unknown email from the Trash Can of Ideology videos. Okay, let's go. Okay, here's one from our alt-right video. Tyler Tucker says, "Oy vey, shut it down. I'm a proud card-carrying member of the alt-right." Oh, shit. We got a card-carrying member now.
Look out, we got a badass over here.
Yeah, we got a badass over here. Goy Knows says, "Oy vey, it's another Shoah, the Goy No."
Holy shit, this is like Nazis are terrible at pretending to be Jews.
I like
You know what? Screw the airlock. I'm just gonna boot that guy into a black hole.
I didn't even know what Shoah was until I looked it up. Turns out it means Holocaust because we made a reference to the Holocaust. But it's kind of funny how these people know more Jewish terms than most people. Like, if you hate them so much, why do you obsess about it like that? Big surprise here. A lot of the comments were about our identity politics stuff, which, I mean, I'm not trying to bring it up. We made like a few videos of it based on our podcast, but this seems to be what everyone wants to talk about, so don't blame us for bringing it up. Yeah. So, Richard Preddy says, "Brocialist," in quotes, "shut up, you womshalist." I guess it's like...
Sick burn, fellow kid.
Doesn't even flow well. It doesn't flow well. Like, I don't know what the anti-female equivalent would be, but...
See, the thing with brocialist is it's catchy because it actually rhymes, but... Womshalist? Oh, man.
Sensualist, I guess.
Sorry, and try harder next time, I guess.
Yeah. When I read that, I think it was talking about like the Wobblies for a second.
So then someone intervened and said feminism is an integral part of communism, class essentialism is ridiculous, and then he says, "Nah, it gets too excessive and emasculates movements these days."
Emasculates movements.
That's kind of, I mean, when you're arguing that feminism is not important and you say that it's bad because it emasculates things, that's definitely not a way to win the argument. Yeah.
Like, I mean... Are the Rojava female fighters like emasculating the movement, even though they're on the front line against ISIS? And typically, I think of war as masculine. I'm like, fuck off.
Social problems simply can't be solved under capitalism, so it's futile to try to solve them under the system where it thrives. This is kind of a we got this in another comment too, but it's kind of a. Like, it's futile to try to solve them under the system. Okay, that means we should never do anything or never... I don't.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
They would like to never do anything.
Okay, and then he says, other identities can be divisive, such as nationalism. Yeah, that's true. A working class bartender who has to join the U.S. Marine Corps to pay off my student. We got a whole life story here. More in common with a British working man than a wealthy American CEO. A good example of how this identity rhetoric can be divisive is the Nation of Islam. Okay, I would never say that I support the Nation of Islam.
Like, isn't the Nation of Islam like the civil rights version of Social Democrats because they killed Malcolm X like Social Democrats killed Rosa Luxemburg?
Well, kind of, like...
Yep.
Yeah, so why would that be relevant to us?
And to a lesser extent, the Black Panther Party. I would say to no extent. Like, the Black Panthers inspired a lot of people. In fact, there was a movement that was supporting them called the White Panthers, where it was like anyone can join, and they would all try to emulate the success of the Black Panthers, as far as I understand. So... far from dividing people, I think it kind of had the opposite effect. Nation of Islam was extremely reactionary throughout the 60s, that's true. Yet several leftists supported them. What does several leftists mean? Like, do we have to answer for I don't even know who they are. Okay, would you support a group like that now simply because they believe in black liberation? A group like NOI? No.
Yeah. They don't even believe in black liberation, like more like black separatism, just so they can make their own.
I mean, there are offshoots of them now, like you see, or even the original group, like you see Louis Farrakhan go on black radio stations and talk about. I'm like, okay, I support the fact that these are people getting together and fighting oppression in that sense, but that doesn't mean I agree with anything else.
Yeah.
Do you not understand the alienation that can cause with non-black proletarian groups? I mean, I don't feel alienated by the fact that there are black proletarian groups. Like, there's a difference between just doing it in a progressive way and doing it in a reactionary way. Like,
yeah,
if they're doing it in a progressive way, I would never like expect to go to a Black Lives Matter movement and like expect to be able to like be front and center at the front of the rally or march or anything like that. Like, you know, but I'm still gonna support it.
Yeah,
pretty much. Or like you don't like, for example, like in my case, it would be like talking about the Armenian genocide and stuff. People would expect Armenians to be in the front and center of that one.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And like you can go to an event like that to use it to talk about like the consequences of colonialism or imperialism and stuff. So it's not like, you know.
Yeah.
The Black Panthers became revolutionary as time went on. They became revolutionary? They weren't the whole time? I don't know about that. Okay, anyway, the Black Panthers became revolutionary as time went on. And I forgive them for it, for not being revolutionary, even though I have a large hatred for Marxism-Leninism. But their original stance was reactionary black nationalism, which alienated potential allies.
That's not true.
I don't know if that's true. I'll have to look into that one.
There were some black nationalists, but overall the organization was very much inclusive. I mean, if you look at like, you know, who they worked with civil rights leaders, you know, even people who are pacifists. They work with the Young Patriots, you know, help people in like Appalachian country and places like that. So, I mean, yeah, that entire statement just by the history itself is completely false.
Modern feminists make Marxism, socialists, and left-wingers look bad. They are so blinded by their hatred towards white straight males.
Okay. Get the airlock ready.
Oh boy.
The countries that needs feminism is where women actually are oppressed, like Saudi Arabia. I think people everywhere would really benefit from gender roles not being imposed so much. Just because it's like way more obvious in Saudi Arabia doesn't mean that that's the only place in the world where the philosophy is useful. Many Western feminists are just a bunch of airheads that need someone to blame because their lives sucks thanks to themselves. I don't know who he's talking about.
Projection. This is projection.
Sexism can't real, guys. Sexism can't real.
He uses this term Western feminist as like as a contrast to Saudi Arabia because, you know, I mean, yeah, it's easy to look at some feminists that you see on the internet and think, you know, why are they talking about man spreading? That's not a big problem. Look at Saudi Arabia. But it's like maybe the feminists that you hear are the feminists that live in your country. Maybe you don't live in Saudi Arabia. Maybe that's why you don't hear the Saudi Arabian feminists. Change Black Lives Matter to something like end police violence instead of saying one race of people matter, so this way people clearly understand the purpose of the movement.
Yeah, it's man. I even mentioned the video on the website. It says it's like they say it on the BLM website that it implies there's a 2 there. But yeah, you know, they say it's on the website. They say it's shortened. So I mentioned that right in the video. So I have no idea why he's bringing this up.
So the reason why people bring up black-on-black crime is because it is at an all-time high, and if they were really concerned about black lives, they would focus more on stopping the number one killer of black people, which is other black people. Okay. Now...
Citation needed first. Just
I cited my sources.
Even if it's true, think about this for a second. A police officer is different from a civilian. Like, you understand the difference, right? A police officer has special powers that civilians don't have. They play a special role in the community of supposedly, trying to make people's lives more safe. But the point being, a police on civilian crime is not the same as civilian on civilian crime. It's how much more obvious does this have to be? Police violence is a special problem. It's like if people were saying, like, remember the whole Catholic Church scandal with the molesting the kids? It's like if people said, like, oh, well, why are you talking about the Catholic priest so much? Most kids get molested by their own uncle. Like, yeah, obviously molesting kids is a bigger problem, but when you put the kid alone with the clergy and all this other bullshit and they're trying to cover it up, that's a special problem. Like, why can't people see this? So then they wrap up saying people don't bring up white on white crime because white people aren't creating a movement saying white lives matter and focusing on a smaller problem. Well, the fact that white people aren't doing that should tell you something, though. Like, maybe because different groups in society have... there's a reason why black people are afraid of police and white people aren't. Like, maybe you should be thinking about that. Like, God forbid if they did, the media would call them racist white supremacists. Well, yeah, because it'd be kind of suspicious to make a White Lives Matter movement. Now, let down, move on to all of the stupid shit they did, like making Martin O'Malley... I don't give a shit what Martin O'Malley did. Let's not forget when the year took over a Bernie Sanders rally and took his mic. Oh, poor Bernie Sanders. So what? What about when the terrorist attack happened at France and they got mad because they got the... Oh my god, this whole thing. They got the attention taken away from them and spread the hashtag fuck Paris and completely disrespected them. Oh boy, there was a Twitter hashtag. Martin Luther King is pretty lucky in the sense that he wasn't alive when Twitter was a thing. Can you imagine, like, what they would have used against him? Like, if you can discredit a social movement with just a Twitter hashtag, oh man, they would have been on that shit 24/7. LGBT rights activities and even many racial issues are pushed into the spotlight to distract us from real class issues. What if I were to tell you that people can think that multiple things are a problem at the same time? If you solve every LGBT issue, you'll have a society where LGBT people are all equally exploited as everyone else. Okay. Affirmative action translates to exploit us equally, Porky. Not something I see as worthy of being a front-running issue. See, this is where people, like, what does that even mean? Worthy of being a front-running issue? Like, what are we arguing about here? Front-running issue? Since when is that, like, a point of contention that we have to argue about? Front-running it, like, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, like, just because innocent black people are getting killed in the streets by cops, that doesn't deserve attention because it's not a front-running issue. It's ludicrous.
Yeah. I think it's pretty simple. Like, either something is a real problem that is at least worthy of being talked about sometimes, or it's not. Like enough bullshit about what's the real issue, which issue comes first, what's the front-running issue. This is just bullshit. I think that's what's dividing people. Oh, this one's for you, Sergio. Are all Armenians as whiny as this commie?
Yes.
This one's about our reaction to the Confederate flag video from Gavin McInnes. Eric Bantona says, boo hoo hoo, typical leftist whining about a politically incorrect flag. These reactionaries think they're so clever. Like, if they just boil down an argument to that's not politically correct, and it makes someone sound really whiny. When, like, if we burn down an American flag, they'll get pretty upset. Like, that's not political correctness.
Exactly.
Like, it's only political correctness if it's, like, supposedly leftist, progressive.
Yeah. When they disagree with me, that's when it's...
Pretty much. while proudly waving the red hammer and sickle flag, which caused millions of deaths. Oh my God, the flag caused millions of deaths?
Billions and trillions and quadrillions.
That flag outed Stalin. I did not know that. That's you learn something new every day from reactionaries. Yeah.
Well,
remember, it is only good when we do it. Hypocrisy at its finest. Yeah, okay, keep telling yourself that. And you sound like insecure, giggling teenagers.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Oh boy, I do love this insult.
So you put up a video of a protest at a prison, and Griffin Shea said, I support Gulag, though. You're posting up like a video of like a protest against like a prison in a capitalist country where like, I think it was Leonard Peltier was in there, wasn't he?
Yes, that's right. Yep, he's in that prison.
But all this person wants to say is, I support Gulag, though.
Yeah, I think they're just being facetious.
Yeah, you think?
Seems to be what it is. Yeah.
Xexizy says, if you haven't already, take a watch of this video. Well, I have watched it, actually. That entire video, that entire podcast that we made was in large part a response to that particular video. So, yes, we have seen it. Or I've seen it. Essentially, it's impossible to solve the issues you're concerned about under capitalism. And Luxemburg herself explained quite well how reform under capitalism is ultimately fruitless in her essay, Reform or Revolution. Now, see, this is where he uses, like, true facts. Like, I agree that Rosa did do that. She did write that. I don't know what that has to do with identity politics. Like Rosa was also a feminist that believed in fighting for women's rights. So are you saying that she contradicted herself? Like, I don't really see... Yeah, I mean, some groups take that position, but they're generally what we call ultra-left groups. Like if you're going to take this position, okay, but you better not ever call for, raising the minimum wage or, any kind of... Basically, you can't call for any concessions as a tactical matter of gaining more support then. If you're going to make that argument. Xexizy says, we need to promote anti-discrimination to the point at which the working class would fight side by side against the ruling class. On a large scale, we are far past that. What the hell does that mean? On a large scale, we are far past that. Are we far past that when the KKE votes against gay rights in the Greek parliament, one of the biggest Marxist parties in all of Europe?
Exactly.
On a large scale, we are far past that. I don't know what he's trying to say here. Trying to make any gains from there will not help anyone in the long run. What? I don't get it. What does that mean? Like, will not help anyone in the long run. What if you recruit more people to your group because they see how progressive you are? That's not going to help anyone?
Yeah, he's being very vague. He's not really defining his terms of what he's trying to say.
And this is one of the major problems I have with this whole identity politics is cancer, identity politics is poison. Like, what are the concrete implications of taking that stand? Like, what does it actually mean to say that? Like, it seems like it's something that leftists say just to get points from other leftists that agree with them, but they're not actually saying anything. Like, if there's a good point that you're making, why don't you actually point out what the specific implications are? And that's all for today. Thanks for subscribing, everyone, and keep leaving us comments.